Okay, we're back for part 7 of the scx10 dingo build, and basically it was asking us to put the clips into the body, and then technically the building part is done. So I got the holes drilled in here. I'd take the cage off, and basically now you would put the clips on it. But of course we got to paint it. So what we're going to do now is disassemble. And when I drilled the holes in here, I didn't screw that back on because I knew I had to take it apart. So basically now we'll be just disassembling this. And what we're going to have to do is, of course, it already took the cage off. And we'll have to remove the windshield and the fenders. I'm going to do that off camera. So all in all, we're pretty much done with the book. And the building part of that's over. Now I did get some parts in. I got my receiver, which is the R210 4 GF from Futaba. That'll go with my FPL S4 receiver. Also got an ESC I was going to try. I got this from eBay. And it was pretty cheap. But we're going to see how it works. I think I only paid like $8 for this. Haven't quite figured out how to set the reverse and all that, but we're gonna hook it up and see what it does. Also, I got my Axial beadlock rims. I got the 8-hole. That's why we didn't glue these on. The part number for this is AX8087. These come with all the hardware and the mountain rings, or the beadlock rings, excuse me. And there's your little bag of hardware. And there's the beadlock. I think that'll be pretty good. So we'll be mounting those. And also, since we're taking the other stuff apart, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off my motor here. I should have thought about this earlier, but I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this motor. And I'm going to go ahead and break it in. I'm going to be doing a water break-in, which is you'll submerge this motor in water. I've got an old ESC here from Traxxas. I'm going to hook it up to the motor, put a battery on it, take my controller and just barely turn up the throttle trim till the motor starts spinning. And we'll let her sit in the water for about 20 minutes. And what that'll do is pretty much wet sand the brushes on the armature. Right now they're square and the thing's round, so it'll sit like that. And when you're done with the water break-in, it'll curve the brushes, and you'll get better contact on the motor. So we're going to do that also. And alright, well, let me get started. I'm going to take some of this apart and a few other things, and we'll get the water break-in going, because that takes about 20 minutes, and then we'll be back and start showing you that. Also, I got a new battery for this. I like to buy, every time I buy a new vehicle, I like to buy a new battery for it. So if I want to have all of them, I got this 25C 4100 Venom. This is actually a universal, so it'll do Dean's clips, Traxxas clips, Tama clips. You can just change the ends. It's pretty nice. It's for one of those batteries I like to have in case somebody needs a battery too while we're out on the trail, and it doesn't matter what kind of connector they have, we'll have the hookup for it. Alright, well I'm going to start taking the motor off and stuff first, and then I'll show you the process of how that water break-in gets going, and I'll be right back. Okay, here we go with the water break-in. Now what I like to use is distilled water. It's, you know, it's pretty cheap. So, but if you use distilled, it doesn't have any of the impurities in it, things like that. So I just put a little water in there. Now basically what you get is a basic hookup. I got my battery, an old ESC, the motor. I tie a little loop in it so I can stick a bar across so because I'm not going to take my pinion gear off or anything. And then I'm going to put it in here and we're going to get her going, and then I'll just set it off here to the side and let that run for about 20-30 minutes. And what that'll do is wet sand it. Like I say, this, you can feel it's pretty tight. And basically I just got it hooked up. So what we're going to do now is get us into the water and let's top that off so it's under the water. This is an old ESC, so it didn't have a BEC to run my receiver, so I had to put a little pack on it too. Now what we'll do is we'll take the trim and we'll get that going. We'll set it pretty low. And you can see, I know a lot of people think water and electronics are crazy, but basically what that's doing now is that motor's turning. The brushes are going against the armature and it'll almost like wet sand them to where the brushes will conform to the roundness of it. And you'll see later on when we come back to this that you'll see how nasty the water gets, and what that is, the particulates from the brushes. So now we're just going to take this and move it over here out of our way so we can work on with our other stuff and take a quick look at the time, and then we'll know about how long it's been in there. So got a quick shot of my clock over there, so I'll know we'll let that run. Alright, well we'll get back to this body now, taking this apart the rest of the way. And let me get some of this off and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Now what we've done is we've taken the body stuff back off the body, the fender wells and the roll cage, and we'll get these out of the way. Now what we'll have to do with this body is take it in the house and get some dish soap and wash the inside of this real good, because there's like a mold release on here and it'll mess with your paint. So in order to get a good paint job, we'll need to do that. Also, I'll take a sander and sand up anything that's a little rough, like these areas right here. I'll get my drum on there and make them nice and round so it'll look real good. So we'll put them inside and clean them, and we'll do a painting video another day. Now what we got on, it takes a while to take the body apart. That's why I started this motor first. We'll bring this back over. And I don't know if you can see it, but that water's starting to get dirty, pretty dirty. It's been 30 minutes. So this motor is broke in. So what we'll do is put the throttle trim back and make that stop. And see, now it's got a real When I first started it, it wanted to jerk around. But now it'll start real slow. So, what we'll do now is we'll disconnect the battery. Disconnect the battery on the receiver. We can go ahead and take this stuff apart and get it out of here just in case it wants to get a little wet around here or something. And there's a paper towel. Pull the motor out there. So now you want to run it at low speeds because this ESC's been running 30 minutes. I wouldn't say it's hot, but it's warm. I mean, you can feel that it's right there before hot. So, and there again, now that this is stopped, you can see all the particulates and stuff in here. That's part of the brushes. So basically now this motor is broke in. Let's get this water out of the way. So what I'd like to do now is I'll take my air compressor. I'm going to put this outside and I'll blow all the water out real good. And then when we're done with that, we'll take some of this Hot Shot motor cleaner and a little bearing oil and we'll fix her up after that. So let me go blow this off real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, well, what we've done now is we went outside and took my air gun and blew all the water out that I could, and then took this Power Shot electric motor cleaner and sprayed the whole thing down real good, and boy, you should have seen all the black stuff come out. So now this has been, it's water free, because this stuff will displace the water. Now, the only thing left to do is we take a little bearing oil and just put a drop right where those bushings are and give that a little spin. Work it down in there and then come on the other side. Do the same thing, and this just re-lubes the bearing since we've submerged it in water. And now that we've done this once, this motor is broke in. You can't see it. I'll never be able to focus in here, but when I was starting inside here, you could see the brushes were flat, and you got a very small contact on the armature. Now you look in here and you can see that the brushes are rounded and the complete brush is touching the armature now. So now you'll get better contact. When you barely pull your trigger, it'll start to go right away. It won't want to jump. You get a full electrical contact. And so this motor is now broke in. We'll reinstall it. And then I'm going to start putting electronics and stuff in. We're going to do another video later on the painting. It's a little too cold here right now to paint in my shop, so we'll do a painting video a little later on. And I'm sure a lot of people, you can see how I do it. There are so many different ways. Who knows which is actually the best? But give me a minute and we'll start putting that together. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. We got the motor installed. Now we're gonna have to put our electronics in, and since we didn't have them in the beginning, we got to take a few things apart. No big deal. Take the battery tray off. Just keep the build going, I went ahead and did this without installing electronics. But now I got to get into this little box, and it's all up underneath the battery mount. Since I've mounted mine forward, if you want to get in here, you gotta remove the battery tray, which is no big deal. Take that off, get the couple spacers, get my receiver, get our new receiver out. Our steering servo will go in one. ESC going to, then myself, I like to take a few extension leads, since I know I'm going to be putting lights, and I know I'm going to be putting a winch. And this is a 4-channel receiver. I'm going to put some extension cords on here, so when I close this box up, these things can just stay. What we'll do is we'll grab us an awl. I'm just gonna scratch your 3 in there, so I know that's the 3rd channel. There we go. And then we'll grab another one. We'll put bat on that so we know it's battery. And that's the one I'll normally hook my lights in. And then we'll grab our last one. Make that the 4th channel. And it seems like a lot of wire, but you can run your screwdriver around these and wrap it real tight and give it a turn, and they'll coil up. Like I said, this thing's kind of a pain to get back into, since I got the battery up front. So what I like to do is put these extra wires on there, and then I don't have to come back in it again. Okay, that doesn't have a hole in it. So we can put this in here, get these wires to come through, flatten everything out. I don't like to cram all my wires in here. I'd rather work with them outside, because if I get a small lighting system or something, or my winch controller, I want that to be able to sit in there. And like I said before, these aren't waterproof anyway, but it'll help any splashing coming up hitting it. So I like to put my winch controllers and stuff in there. And so that's it for the receiver part. Well, almost did something silly. I hadn't bound it to my controller yet, so we'll do that real quick. Get the old 4PLS out. That's what I'm going to bind it to. Let's get us a battery. Go ahead and hook it to the motor so I can hear the beeping part. Turn that all off for right now. Oh, that's nice. Switches backwards. Clicked it to where it said away from on, and it was on. Well, anyway, let's bind this. Let's give this a new model number. Okay, well, let me bind this real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Alright, we got the ESC binded, and we got the receiver binded to the radio. I got my ESC set up where I got brake. It seems to be alright. Like I said, this is a cheap one, a 340. I can't pronounce the Chinese name on it, so but it's a 40 amp, you know, nothing to write home about, but it'll do for this. We've only got a 65 turn motor on here, so you know, it's not like we're trying to break speed records anyway. So get this antenna up and out of the way there. Then we'll tie wrap our stuff up. And there's a lot of things you can do with an ESC. There's a plate I like to build, and I bring it up off the frame and I mount my ESC up here or on the other side, whatever I might do at the time. But that's what I'll most likely do. I've done that to my other vehicles and it works real well. I can put the ESC right here. It's out of the way. You know, I'm not trying to put it under here. If I need to take the motor wires off or something, I can without disassembling the battery tray again. So, alright, well, let me put this battery tray back together, and we'll go from there. Alright, I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. We're going to put the battery tray back together here. These, I want to remember to put your washers in there, or spacers I should say. It also holds the back of the radio box down. plate back over here. This time I decided to pull the strap just under the plate instead of going underneath the cage too. Alright, so now we got our battery tray back on. Got all this wire here we gotta get out of the way. What we'll do is we'll tie wrap these up under here. And these extra channels I've got here, like this one's for the battery. What I'll normally do with that is I'll run that around, and you got these wire lead things here. I'll tuck the one for the battery in here like that, and what that does, it gives me a place to hook the lights up. And when I go to take the body off, I'll have enough wire excuse me, that if I don't want to disconnect it, I can just set the body to the side. In the third and fourth channel here, I'll do the fourth channel similar. And the third channel will work up under the battery tray, and I like to keep it closer to the front, so when we do the winch, I can I'll have the wires here for it. I can hook the winch right through the third channel. There, we'll put that under like that. And then this one for the ESC, I'll mount my ESC here, and I'll probably just stick the switch that they provide, which is backwards, by the way, but like that, and I'll just glue it to there, and then I can reach up underneath and turn it on and off without having to take the body off. So I got to make that plate still, and then I'll probably glue this BEC that comes with it on the other side of the plate so it's out of the way. And well, there you go. Alright, and that's pretty much it for the electronics. I'm gonna have to like I said, I'm gonna build my plate. I'll normally take some plastic. I've got plastic like this here, and what I'll do is I'll cut me a tray, and I'll make it go between these two screws, and it'll stand up, and I'll mount my ESC to it. It works pretty well. I've done it on a few other models, and it just gets my ESC up and out of the way, and where I can reach the on and off switch real easy, and just how I like to do it. So that's what we're going to do. Alright, that's it for part 6, or part 7, excuse me. When we come back, it'll most likely be a paint video, and I'll let you see the trays and stuff, how I've cleaned up the wiring on there, and then hopefully after that we can start doing a little running video. Alright, well, thanks for watching, and I hope this helps somebody. Please subscribe, please like and leave comments, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.